If I were to sit here and tell you off the top of my head about the history of the automobile, from the very first car that was made all the way up into the cars we see on the road today, it would be an insanely difficult task. But with the power of visualization, diagramming, and the one and only Draw.io, I'll be able to do it. Using Draw.io, we've created a beautiful timeline that concisely and visually represents arguably one of the greatest inventions known to man, and that is the automobile. Let's get started. All right, here we are at square one, or should I say 1881, where modern automobile history starts with the electric-powered Trouvé tricycle. In that same year, Carl Benz invents the motor wagon, which was the start of the first combustion engine. 14 years later, Carl Benz is back again, but this time he manufactures the first bus in history. 4 years down the line, over in France, La Jamais Cantante becomes the first vehicle to exceed 100 kilometers per hour, and the cherry on top, it was electric. 4 years after that, the Spiker hits the scene and becomes the first vehicle with all-wheel drive. Just 5 years after the Spiker, Henry Ford drops the legendary Model T and introduces the assembly line to car manufacturing. It seems like people were pretty satisfied with the Model T because it wasn't until 28 years later that the first beloved Volkswagen Beetle was made. A long 17 years go by and we go back to France, where the Citroën DS becomes the first car to be made with disc brakes. Before that, cars were made with drum brakes, which apparently were more prone to overheating. But the story doesn't stop there, because in 1984, Porsche introduces the fancy 911. The very next year, the American muscle is flexed with full force with the introduction of the Pontiac GTO. Okay, I have a trivia question for you. What car came out in 1966 and eventually became the best-selling car of all time? Pat yourself on the back if you guessed the Toyota Corolla with a whopping 50 million units. That's a lot of Toyotas. Then in 1971, America takes vehicles to outer space with the Lunar Roving Vehicle. And 10 years later, instead of traveling through space, Americans decide to travel back in time with the DeLorean. If you got the last trivia question wrong, you can redeem yourself right here. What legendary movie trilogy featured the DeLorean? In 2000, Japan gives us the electric Toyota Plus, and in 2004, Tesla begins to revolutionize the market for fully electric cars, introducing the Roadster. And in 2020, we finally made it to autonomous vehicles. The other day, I hopped into a rideshare and it drove me to my destination with no driver. Safe to say we have made it a long way since the Trouvé tricycle. All right, that's a lot of history condensed into one video, but I wouldn't be able to retell that history from its infancy if it wasn't for this handy dandy timeline, all made in Draw.io. I hope you all enjoyed today's automobile history lesson. I hope you did good in the trivia. I hope you come back and watch more. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And until next time, happy diagramming.